Welcome to the Senior Techie Podcast. Imagine opening your front door to grab the morning paper, only to find a 400-pound black bear treating your recycling bin like an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Right. Just a totally normal morning.
Exactly. And the craziest part is that your neighbors act like this is a completely normal Tuesday. So today, we're looking at a city that is wildly beautiful, culinarily world-class, and, well, structurally designed to drive you absolutely crazy.
It really is a fascinating place.
It is, and I know keeping up with fast-changing modern trends or exploring complex civic issues can sometimes feel a bit overwhelming, but I want to assure you, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to take our time today, untangle a really fascinating story together, and I'm just thrilled you are sitting here with us.
It is genuinely wonderful to be here. We have a topic today that really bridges the gap between understanding modern urban shifts and simply enjoying a brilliant piece of writing from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, today we are focusing on a brand new book. It's called Don't Move to Asheville, a ruthlessly honest guide that will ruin everywhere else.
It's such a great title.
Right. Our mission today is to explore why this book is an absolute must-read and why you should confidently hop onto Amazon and buy it right now, even if you have, zero intention of ever setting foot in North Carolina.
Which is really the entire beauty of the premise. It operates as this masterclass in armchair travel, and the author is actually someone our listener already knows very well.
Yes. The book was written by Paul Wilczynski, the creator of the Senior Techie. So Paul is someone who intimately understands you, our listener, and your relationship with the modern world.
And he writes with this incredible warmth and sharp humor.
He really does. Mm-hmm. And his own journey is super interesting. He moved to Asheville, North Carolina, basically fleeing Charleston to escape the oppressive summer heat. And before that, he had left Boston to escape the bitter cold. So he finds this gorgeous mountain city, right? But then he turns around and writes a book with this incredibly sarcastic title, telling people not to come. And why? Because the city will absolutely ruin your expectations for everywhere else.
Yeah, he essentially argues that the city is a beautifully disguised trap. And the very first trap he outlines is the culinary scene.
Oh, the food.
Yeah, people arrive thinking they are just visiting a quirky little arts town with some, nice breweries, and they suddenly find themselves in a food landscape that permanently alters their baseline standards.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because imagine you spent your entire life watching a perfectly fine, fuzzy, black and white, standard definition TV.
It does the job.
Right, you enjoy it. It does the job. But then you go to a friend's house and they turn on a massive 4K flat screen.
Oh, wow.
The colors are incredibly vibrant. The picture is crystal clear. I mean, you can see individual blades of grass. Once you experience that level of clarity, you can never go back to your fuzzy television without feeling a profound sense of loss. According to Paul, that is exactly what eating in Asheville does to your palate.
It really is. And to put some hard numbers to that 4K clarity, Asheville has a population of roughly 95,000 people.
Which is not that big.
No, not at all. A city of that modest size typically features maybe a handful of decent local spots drowning in a sea of predictable nationwide chain restaurants. Asheville, however, boasts over 250 independent restaurants.
250?
Yes. The James Beard Foundation and the Michelin Guide have effectively set up camp in the mountains there. For instance, you have Luminosa, which is an Italian-American restaurant that earned a Michelin Green Star for sustainability.
Wow.
Yeah, one of only 3 in the entire American South. You also have Little Chongo serving incredible Puerto Rican arepas, and Mother, a neighborhood cafe built entirely around naturally leavened bread.
That sounds amazing.
Both of those recently earned Michelin Bib Gourmands.
I always wonder, though, how a small mountain town actually attracts that specific caliber of culinary talent. I mean, it can't just be the nice views, right?
No, it really comes down to the underlying agricultural history of the Appalachian Basin. The region possesses this incredibly rich, biodiverse soil and a heritage of small-scale, deeply attentive farming. So chefs aren't just moving there to cook, they are moving there because the raw materials are just unparalleled.
That completely explains the story Paul shares about William Dessen. He's the chef at the marketplace, right?
Yes, exactly.
So Dessen is one of the original farm-to-table chefs in the area, sourcing his ingredients from within 100 miles. And Gordon Ramsay actually traveled to Western North Carolina to film an episode of his show.
Oh, this is such a great story.
It's incredible. Ramsay challenged Dessen to a head-to-head cook-off using only local Appalachian ingredients. And Ramsey lost.
He lost.
He had never lost a single challenge in 3 entire seasons of that show, but he was bested by a local chef who just fundamentally understood the regional agriculture.
Yeah, the restaurants are really just the final polished step in a much deeper agricultural infrastructure. The book spends time detailing these tailgate markets.
Right, the tailgate markets.
Yeah, these are farmers markets set up in local parking lots, but they aren't selling generic produce. You are buying directly from the person whose hands pulled the food from the dirt.
And Paul warns that these tailgate markets will completely radicalize your grocery shopping.
Oh, absolutely.
You buy one single heirloom tomato in August, still warm from the sun, and you are permanently done with those pale, sad, mealy tomatoes in the supermarket in January.
You can't go back.
You can't. You start asking questions at restaurants like, well, what specific farm is this pork from? Or what did this pig eat? And you aren't doing it to be difficult or pretentious. You do it because Asheville has aggressively trained you to expect a story and a verifiable origin with your food.
And that obsession with the local environment bleeds directly into how they handle their actual geography, which is the second layer of the trap.
The mountains.
The physical geography of the place dictates absolutely everything about daily life. The city sits at 2,134 feet above sea level in the southern Appalachians. That elevation is the defining fact of the city's existence.
It gives Asheville that amazing temperate climate, right? With much cooler summers than surrounding southern cities like Charlotte or Atlanta.
It does, but what's fascinating here is that same topography creates incredibly unpredictable microclimates and forces nature right up against the front porch.
Right.
The mountains are an ambient condition. They're stunningly beautiful, clocking in at around 300 million years old, but they do not negotiate with human schedules, and they certainly do not negotiate with city planners.
Which brings us back to the wildlife that is literally just part of the neighborhood.
The bears.
The bears.
Yeah.
Paul talks about those black bears. If you move there, your garbage can becomes a designated stop on their nightly buffet route. You turn on your porch light, and there is a bear the size of a love seat, casually staring at you over your recycling bin.
Just hanging out.
Yeah. They aren't particularly aggressive. They just look at you like you are a mild inconvenience to their dinner plans.
Right. And this topographical reality brings us to the great contradiction of living there, which is the transportation. On one hand, the Asheville Regional Airport, or AVL, is an absolute dream. You can go from parking your car to sitting at your departure gate in 15 minutes.
Wow, 15 minutes.
Yeah, it removes the friction of travel so quietly and efficiently that you become completely spoiled by it.
But, okay, I have to push back on this idea of the perfect, easy mountain town. If the airport is so seamless and the scenery is so beautiful, why does Paul point out that it can take 40 minutes to go just a few miles down the road on a random Tuesday morning?
Well, because the roads in and out of the city are effectively natural funnels. The city is bisected by the French Broad River and heavily constrained by steep ridgelines. There are very few natural corridors, which means limited bridges and limited highways.
So everyone is forced onto the exact same 2-lane roads.
Precisely. And for 37 years, the city has been fighting over the I-26 connector project to fix this massive bottleneck.
47 years.
Yes. They are finally building it now. It's a $1.8 billion highway project. But the reason it took nearly 4 decades isn't just bureaucratic red tape. You are dealing with 300-million-year-old dense mountain rock.
Oh, right.
You simply cannot blast new, convenient highways through ancient geological formations without massive environmental disruption and engineering nightmares. So until that connector is finished, residents are sharing a road network designed for a sleepy mid-century town with a massive modern influx of new residents and millions of tourists.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the food is incredible, the weather is mild, and the mountains are beautiful, a massive wave of people want to move there.
Naturally.
But when a mountain town completely runs out of horizontal space because it is boxed in by rock, it has to start building up. And that does something dramatic to the local economy.
It forces a severe housing crisis.
Exactly. We need to define a term Paul explores called climate gentrification.
Yes, this is crucial.
Imagine you are playing a game of musical chairs with 10 people, but you are playing it in a room that is slowly flooding with water.
Okay.
When the floor starts to get wet, everyone panics and rushes to climb onto the one top bunk bed in the room to stay dry. Because everyone is fighting for that single dry spot, the person who owns the bunk bed suddenly triples the price to sit there.
Right, supply and demand.
Exactly. And the people who originally slept in that bunk bed, they get pushed out into the water because they can no longer afford their own bed. That is climate gentrification. Wealthy buyers trying to escape the extreme heat of the coast or the deep south are moving to higher, cooler, safer elevations like Asheville and completely pricing out the locals who have lived there for generations.
The math Paul lays out regarding this phenomenon is incredibly harsh. Median homes in the Asheville area currently cost between $450,000 and $600,000.
That is steep.
And renters face a similarly punishing landscape. The city recently calculated an ideal wage target for workers to live comfortably in the area, and it's $60,886 a year. But the people who actually give the city its soul, the service workers, the line cooks in those Michelin-recognized restaurants, the musicians, they rarely make anywhere near that amount.
Wait, but isn't that just standard capitalism? I mean, if there's high demand for a beautiful place, developers build, prices go up, and the economy grows, why is Paul framing this as a trap rather than just a highly successful tourist economy?
Because mountain infrastructure is uniquely vulnerable. In a flat city like Dallas or Phoenix, if the center gets too expensive, you just build suburban sprawl outward in a 360-degree circle.
Right. The suburbs just expand.
Exactly, and the service workers commute in. But in Asheville, you can't build outward because of the state and national forests and the sheer vertical drop-offs. The physical boundary is fixed. It creates what Paul calls the two Ashvilles.
The people who bring money and the people who make the city run.
Yes. You have the wealthy remote workers and well-funded retirees who bring their capital from outside, experiencing the city as a reasonably priced cultural haven compared to, say, New York or San Francisco. And then you have the locals who are doing complex mental math every single day just to figure out if they can make rent.
And you see this tension physically manifesting in the changing skyline. Because horizontal space is completely gone, Asheville is experiencing a massive hotel boom.
Oh, the hotels.
Developers are building 19-story hotels right in the middle of the historic downtown core. You have these luxurious rooftop bars offering $38 whiskey flights and free valet parking. But these massive towering structures are literally blocking the views of the 300-million-year-old mountains for the regular people walking on the street.
It is a profound civic irony.
It really is. The very nature people travel there to see is being walled off by the infrastructure built to accommodate them. So you have these wealthy retirees winning the musical chairs of housing. They've secured their mountain views and their mild summers. But aging in a remote mountain town introduces a terrifying new variable.
Healthcare.
Exactly. You can't just rely on pretty scenery when you have a heart attack or a serious accident.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the elephant in the room regarding peace of mind. The healthcare system.
Right. And if you are planning for the future or advising a family member who is relocating, healthcare infrastructure is paramount. For decades, Mission Hospital has been the absolute dominant medical force in Western North Carolina. It is a massive facility, and it holds a very specific and critical medical designation. It is a Level 1 trauma center.
You know, I hear the phrase Level 1 trauma center thrown around on medical television shows all the time, and I honestly always assumed it just meant a really big, busy emergency room. But Paul's book makes it sound like a completely different beast.
It is entirely different. Think of a standard, high-quality hospital emergency room, like a really good, reliable pocket knife.
Okay.
It has a few essential blades, it's dependable, and it can handle most everyday medical problems perfectly well. Broken bones, standard cardiac events, appendicitis.
Right.
But a Level 1 trauma center is like a fully loaded master Swiss Army knife. It means that under one roof, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the hospital has every single highly specialized medical tool, complex surgical team, and niche expert ready and waiting for the most catastrophic, multi-system emergencies imaginable.
Oh, wow.
It is the absolute highest level of surgical care available in the medical field. Mission Hospital is the only one in the entire 18-county mountain region. If something truly catastrophic happens, that is where you must go.
That has to be incredibly reassuring to have nearby. But the book also notes that this reliable healthcare landscape is experiencing massive structural shifts right now.
It is undergoing intense growing pains. Mission Hospital recently transitioned from a nonprofit community hospital to being owned by a massive corporate entity, HCA Healthcare. And when a community hospital, which operates on local mandates, shifts to a corporate model driven by shareholder margins, it causes intense friction. There have been widespread community debates over staffing levels, wait times, and how care is administered.
But the free market is responding to that friction.
Right. It is. Because of the region's explosive population growth and the community's desire for options, Major competitors like Novant Health and Advent Health are now aggressively moving into the area. They are building new facilities and offering patients choices they haven't had in decades.
That's a big change.
Very big. And what makes Asheville's medical scene truly unique is that alongside that massive traditional medical system, the city has a deeply embedded integrative health scene.
Right. Paul talks about how holistic care, acupuncture, and functional medicine aren't just fringe hobbies or wellness trends there. They are blended directly with mainstream medicine. You can actually have these alternative therapies covered by standard insurance and carefully coordinated with your primary care doctor.
Yeah, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, though, the true measure of a community's health and safety isn't just found in hospital buildings or the number of specialists on call. It's the people.
The neighbors.
Exactly. And Asheville's real safety net was tested in the most extreme, horrifying way imaginable in September 2024 when Hurricane Helene stalled over the mountains.
Oh, the descriptions in the book of that storm are just harrowing. The mountains, which usually protect the city, funneled trillions of gallons of water into catastrophic sweeping floods.
It was devastating.
The entire city lost water, power, and cell service for days, and in some more remote mountain areas, for weeks.
The physical infrastructure completely broke down. But what Helene revealed was the profound underlying resilience of the people. When the formal municipal systems failed, the informal human systems took over immediately.
Wow.
Neighbors physically hiking up mountains to check on neighbors, people who managed to get generators running, dragging extension cords across streets to keep their neighbors' refrigerators cold.
That is amazing.
Folks sharing drinking water from private, deep-drilled wells when the municipal taps ran completely dry. Local residents firing up their own chainsaws to clear massive fallen oak trees from the roads before the city crews could even mobilize. That mutual aid, that deep reliance on the person living next door to you, is the ultimate safety net of a mountain town.
So what does this all mean? We've established through Paul's eyes that Asheville is staggeringly beautiful, incredibly complicated, wildly expensive, and deeply resilient. It's a city violently wrestling with the consequences of its own popularity. So why should you, our listener, buy a book that is explicitly telling you not to move there?
Because the book isn't really just a travel guide about Asheville. It is a masterful exploration of how modern American cities change, how they grow, and how they desperately struggle to keep their souls under the weight of modern commerce.
Right.
It is a fascinating, deeply entertaining armchair travel experience. You get to understand the intricate mechanics of a mountain city's culture without having to pack a single moving box or sit in gridlocked traffic on the I-26 connector.
And let's not forget, Paul Wilczynski is the creator of the Senior Techie. He is a friend of this show, and he gets our audience. If you enjoy the warmth, the clarity, and the straightforward explanations we try to bring you every day, you will absolutely love his voice in this book.
Definitely.
He makes complex civic zoning issues and 300-million-year-old geological history feel like an engaging conversation over a cup of coffee. To weave together that massive amount of history, geology, and culinary data is a massive undertaking. And in the spirit of transparency, Paul notes in the book's introduction that he used AI tools as a sort of superpowered research assistant to pull this off.
Which is a brilliant use of the technology.
It really is. If you aren't familiar with the mechanics of AI tools, think of it this way. Imagine having a tireless, incredibly fast librarian at your beck and call.
A great analogy.
You can ask this librarian to run down into the archives, fetch millions of historical notes, sort through decades of zoning data, and organize it all perfectly on your desk in mere seconds. That is essentially what AI tools do. They handle the massive data sorting. But remember, the librarian doesn't write the actual book. Paul still had to be the mastermind, sitting at the desk, shaping the narrative, injecting his specific humor, and writing the final brilliant story.
Exactly. The technology simply handles the heavy lifting of organization, allowing the human creativity in storytelling to truly shine through.
So if you want a brilliant, funny read that you can enjoy right from your favorite chair, just pull up Amazon on your tablet or computer and search for Don't Move to Asheville by Paul Wilczynski. It's a wonderful way to support an author who truly understands our community while treating yourself to a fantastic, eye-opening story.
As we wrap up this exploration, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. As you read Paul's accounts of Asheville's struggles with its own explosive growth, The rising housing costs, the changing skyline, blocking the mountains, the influx of new people. Take a moment to look out your own window. How has your own hometown changed over the decades? When a beloved place finally becomes discovered by the rest of the world, what beauty and prosperity is gained in that process, and what quiet, local magic is lost forever? It is a tension every beautiful place eventually has to face.
This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to receive their free newsletters, you can subscribe at subscribe.theseniortechie.com.